Because we have more time on our hands, let me know in the comments below what you're doing to keep busy. For me, maybe I should take some of these stories and start writing a screenplay for them. Who knows, maybe I could make a movie and then be the writer, director, and actor. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 real scary stories that should be turned into movies part 4. And you know the drill already, don't forget to check out the other parts to this series as well. Starting off this countdown, we have the Crescent Hotel. In 1936, Norman G. Baker, a millionaire inventor, turned a hotel into a hospital and posed as a doctor. He claimed that he had a cure for cancer. As a result, he had numerous patients and became super wealthy. He claimed that using aluminum products caused cancer, and that the only way to cure it was through his made-up drug, which was a mixture of alcohol, glycerin, carbolic acid mixed with tea from watermelon seeds, brown corn silk, and clover leaves. As a result, many of the people he treated ended up dying. Now, people don't know what his intentions were. Did he truly believe that he had a cure, or was this all just a ploy to take advantage of vulnerable people? I should also mention that he was obsessed with the color purple. As a result, he would always dress in purple, he drove a purple car, and the hospital walls were painted purple, and he even had a purple chimney. So I'm thinking, a movie about a loony doctor that tricks individuals into thinking that they have some sort of new made-up disease. Meanwhile, in reality, they are actually healthy. Maybe he slowly gives them medication or some sort of drug that's supposed to help them, but it actually makes them feel sick and gives them symptoms of this disease. Then he tricks these individuals into staying at his house, only to find out that he's experimenting on and torturing patients. $1 million idea right there. Wow. In our 9th spot, we have the text from the Afterlife. This story was shared by the Reddit user named Ledger Domain. He claimed that his new partner would receive text from her deceased son. In the post, he claims that she would get a text from him at least once a week, but her son's phone was in a drawer at his sister's house. It no longer had a SIM card and it wasn't working. He also said that she would receive the text when she was feeling down. The text would say things along the lines of, "I love you, see you soon." Now, some people commented on the post saying that a text saying "see you soon" seems pretty sinister, and people thought that it may not be from her son, but a dark spirit. So, what if we had a movie about a grieving mother who thinks she's in touch with her son, but instead is being haunted by an evil spirit, posing as her son? Maybe instead this spirit gets her to do extreme tasks like harm others or herself. I think there's probably a movie out there that's similar to this concept, but it's still a good premise. Coming in at number 8, we have the Boarding School Ghost. In this next story, a man claims that his old boarding school in London was haunted by a young boy. When he was just 8 years old, he left his lunchbox in the lunch hall. As a result, he went back down to the now empty hall to get it, but something strange happened. The wooden door slammed shut behind him and he felt a cool breeze by his side. That's when he saw a shadow of a small boy beside him. All the boy did was point to one of the benches. The man went to the bench and it had the name Charles carved into it. So, who is Charles? In the movie, maybe he was a kid that was picked on and passed away from being hazed. Now he's back trying to get revenge. Moving on to number 7, we have the Lighthouse Keepers. In December of 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers in Flannan Islands vanished without a trace. After a ship arrived and no lighthouse keepers came out to greet them, the captain knew something was up. The lighthouse door was left unlocked. 2 jackets were missing, food was left uneaten, and a chair was knocked over. Weirdest part, the kitchen clock had stopped working. Not only that, but there were very strange entries in the lighthouse logs. It was written down that the principal lighthouse keeper, James, was oddly quiet, and that the other assistant, William, was crying. On December 15th, someone wrote, "A storm ended, sea calm. God is over all." But there were no reported storms in the area until December 17th. It is theorized that the staff tried to retrieve fallen ropes when a wave washed them out to sea. But why would one man not wear his coat while doing this task when it was freezing out? Also, people don't buy this theory because they are very experienced men. Other people think that they were killed or kidnapped by aliens. Another great mystery that would make a great premise for a movie. Making our way down the list, at number 6, we have Room 1046. Another case that I wish I had the answers to. On January 2nd, 1935, a man that went by the name of Roland T. Owen checked into the Crescent Hotel in Kansas City. He was described as being 20 to 35 in age, nicely dressed with brown hair and a scar on his scalp above his ear. Bellhop noted that he only was traveling with a comb and a toothbrush. Over the course of his stay, strange incidents occurred, such as Owen locking the door from the inside and sitting in the room in complete darkness, or him being visited by a man he called Don. One time, the maid Mary Soptic went to clean his room and Owen was just sitting there in the dark. The phone rang during this time and she heard him say, and I quote, "No, Don, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast." After a moment, he repeated, "No, I am not hungry." Well, people theorize that this was his way of saying, "I can't talk right now, someone's listening." Then one day, the bellhop received a call 3 different times saying that the phone in his room was off the hook for 10 minutes. He went up 3 separate times to get the phone back on the hook. The second time, he actually entered the room where he found him laying naked on the bed. He just assumed that he was drunk, and so he put the phone back on the hook and went back downstairs. Then he received another call saying that the phone was back off the hook. This time when he entered Owen's room, he found him sitting in a puddle of blood with his head in his hands. He suffered from blunt force trauma to his head and had multiple stab wounds. Owen was still conscious when detectives arrived, and when he was asked who was in the room, he said, "No one." He died shortly after arriving to the hospital. Now, this is when it gets even more strange. It is said that Owen was injured well before the bellhop first entered the room. So why didn't Owen tell him that he was hurt? Also, his clothes were missing and some other items in the hotel like the soap and toothpaste. Also, there is no record of a Roland T. Owen, it's just made up. At his funeral, money was sent in a rolled up newspaper, and someone left a bouquet of flowers and a letter that read, "Love forever, Lucille." Now, a woman did come forward claiming that he was her son, Scott Ogletree, but we still have so many unsolved questions. Who murdered him, and why? I mean, a movie could take so many different routes with this story. Maybe he was part of the mob, or maybe the movie could focus on Owen haunting all the guests of the hotel room 1046. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Girl Scout trip. So this one is a truly devastating and heartbreaking story. In 1977 in Oklahoma, 3 girls disappeared from their tent during a Girl Scout trip. These girls were Lori Farmer, age 8, Michelle Guzzi, age 9, and Denise Milner, age 10. In the morning, the counselor found the bodies of these 3 girls laying by a tree. 2 months prior, the counselor actually received a warning that this might happen. She was doing a training session when she found her cabin was broken into and someone ate a box of donuts and left some very disturbing notes. The first note had "kill" written repeatedly on it. The second said, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls." The counselor just thought it was just a prank until it actually happened. After police investigation, they did arrest an escaped convict, but he was later found not guilty. After continuous investigations, police think that a woman could have been involved in the killing. Other evidence makes people think that 4 men were involved. But to this day, it still goes unsolved. In fact, the camp to this day still remains shut down. But for the movie, I'm thinking maybe a group of teens go to the camp to seek a paranormal thrill and then they end up being the next victims. Yes, it kind of sounds like Friday the 13th and Camp Crystal Lake, but this time it's grounded in truth. In our 4th spot, we have the Kidnapping. So this next story is my own personal one. It's the time that I almost got kidnapped while on vacation. I swear this is 100% true. So basically when I was around 10 or so, my family went on a trip to Florida to go to Disney World. At around 8 at night, my older brother, who was 16 at the time, took me, my other older brother, who was 14, my older cousin, who was 11, and my younger cousin, who was 8, and we all went outside to the pool for a night swim. Well, while at the pool, me and my cousin made friends with this little girl. She was around the same age as me. Maybe she was like 9 or 8. And we were all having like little fun races and doing like somersaults and handstands in the pool. And then she randomly goes, "I want you to meet my dad." Okay, so I was a very cautious kid and my parents taught me really well about stranger danger. So I was pretty sketched out at that. So I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I want you to meet my dad." I said, "Okay, where is he?" All she did was point. But she pointed to an area that was surrounded by trees and it wasn't even lit up by the pool light. So I was like, "No." But she took my hand and was like, "My dad will love you." And then she just kept pointing where he was, but I couldn't see a man by the pool. So I swam away with my cousin, I told my brother, and we all just went back to the room. But as we were walking away, I saw the girl get out of the pool and start walking towards her dad, and I saw a shadow of a man by the trees in the darkness. So to this day, I'm convinced that this girl was trying to lure me to her dad so that he could kidnap me. Like, why on earth would he be watching his daughter from the trees at a distance and not on the pool deck with all the other parents? So this brings me to my movie idea. A movie about a man who uses his daughter to lure other kids to him. He then kidnaps them and then convinces that he's their real dad. Coming in our third spot, we have Lizzie Borden. Hold it right there. Before you comment down below, I know that there are a couple movies already out there surrounding Lizzie Borden, I know. But I'm going to provide you with an original, even spookier concept. So for those of you who don't know, in 1892, Lizzie Borden was suspected of killing her father and stepmother with an axe. In fact, there's this like really creepy nursery rhyme that goes, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Creepy. But we actually don't know who killed her parents. Some believe that it was Lizzie, other believes that she possibly couldn't have done it. Other people have theorized that Lizzie Borden actually had a child. So, I would love a movie surrounding that idea. If she did have a child, how she would have to try and hide and protect the baby, and how the baby grew up knowing her mother's tragic past. I want to see a movie about that. And at number 2, we have the Beaumont Children. First off, I want to shout out WillBake17 who sent me this case on Instagram. Feel free to message me any cases or stories over Instagram. I'll be happy to read them. So, the disappearance of the 3 young Beaumont children remains the longest running missing persons case in Australian history. On January 26, 1966, Jane, age 9, Grant, age 7, and Arna, age 4, boarded a bus and headed to the beach. During that time, Jane was considered old enough to care for her siblings, so they went off by themselves, which they have done many times before. However, that day, they never returned home. Witnesses say that the children did make it to the beach, but that they weren't alone. Apparently, there was a tall, blonde, thin-faced man with them. Others say that it wasn't just a man, but there were actually 2 other individuals with them. Another man and then a woman in a pale blue patterned dress. The last apparent sightings were around 3 p.m. when the postman saw them walking the main road to their home, but apparently they were alone. Over the years, detectives have followed leads trying to find these children. They've done numerous excavations of different properties of suspects and leads. However, none have been successful. So where are these children? Is it possible that they're still alive out there somewhere? Or who is the mastermind behind their potential kidnapping and murder? I think this interesting unsolved case definitely needs its own movie. And in our number 1 spot, we have the disappearance of Chris and Lizanne. This case is extremely sad, and although there are numerous theories out there, it still remains a huge mystery. On April 1st, 2014, 2 young girls named Chris Kremers and Lizanne Froon went on a hike in the Panamanian jungle. But sadly, they never made it back home. They spent 6 months planning their trip to Panama. They had planned to hike, volunteer, and teach arts and crafts to the local children. On April 1st, their dog returned to their host family's home without the girls. On April 2nd, they both missed their private walking tour. The host family alerted the authorities and an aerial search of the forest was done. Searches were conducted for weeks, but the girls were nowhere to be found. That's when their blue backpack was found along the banks of a river. In the backpack contained Lizanne's passport along with other personal belongings. Most importantly, they found their camera and cell phones. It was revealed that 77 attempts were made to call the police. The photos on the camera revealed heartbreaking evidence. It started off with the girls taking normal photos showing how excited they were on their trip. The next set of photos were taken in the dead of night on April 8th. Some were just random photos showing their surroundings. Another photo was of the back of Chris's head showing blood dripping from her temple. Other photos were just completely black, so it's theorized that they used their camera flash as a source of light. Others theorize that Lizanne was taking photos to document Chris's injuries and their location. 2 months later, a pelvic bone and a foot still inside a boot were found. Then the bones of both the women were discovered. Some say they died after getting lost in the jungle. Others theorize that they were murdered and the killer deliberately took the photos and made the phone calls to make it seem like they just got lost. Either way, I think this movie should be made from the girls' perspectives as they try and survive for days in the jungle. I could see it kind of being shot like a Blair Witch style film. And of course you can add in the element of there being a potential murderer. So that could just make it that much more terrifying. Also, for the cases mentioned, I couldn't go into tremendous detail or else this video would be like hours long. But if you check the description, there are some links that I use to read up on this. So if you want to read more, then go ahead. And that's all for today's video. Let's move on to our comment shout out portion. I'll be shouting out comments for my video, Top 10 Scary Internet Urban Legends Part 3. Just some guy without a mustache commented. First of all, I really like your name. I like the fact that you guys feature comments at the end of the video. That shows that you read our opinions on the video. Yes, thank you. I skimmed through and I picked some of my favorite comments. I also see some hate comments, which isn't the nicest, okay guys? I have feelings too, you know. Entity_606 Prince commented, I need to know why almost every story in the video had someone named David in them. Okay, I noticed that too. It's either like a David or a Johnny or a Tommy. Like those are the names of the kids that are always getting cursed or lost or possessed or bad things always happen to them. So I feel bad if that's your name. XX Bonbon Animator X commented, have you ever experienced some of these scary scenarios? Also love your channel, keep up the good work. So creepy things have happened to me, but thankfully nothing as scary as these urban legends. And that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see you.